Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss chapter 9 from the book The Psychology of Money, written by Morgan Housel, and the name of this chapter is Wealth is What You Don't See. So in this chapter we're basically going to discuss how some people actually have the opportunity to build wealth, but because they're too focused on looking rich or behaving like rich people, and that they actually fail to build wealth. So we're going to start off with the story of a guy named Roger. So Roger was someone that the author knew, and Roger used to drive a Porsche. And one day suddenly he stopped coming on his Porsche, and he started using old Honda. So days passed by. He came to work on his Honda. The next day, he also used the same car, and also like weeks went by, and he did not use his Porsche again. So the author asked him what actually happened to his Porsche, and then he replied that he failed to make a monthly payment on his loan. Um, and then author goes on to say that there are a lot of people just like Roger who are actually making good money, but they are so focused on looking or appearing rich that they actually spend a lot of their money on those things. A lot of their paycheck they spend on those fancy things. Uh, and then we're gonna look at another example of the famous singer Rihanna. So Rihanna actually sued her financial advisor that because she almost went bankrupt, and to that her financial advisor responded that when you're gonna spend money to buy things, then eventually you're gonna end up with things, not the money, and which is pretty self-evident. And yeah, I mean, this is a very common thinking with a lot of people who are rich. So, for example, if most of the people want to be a millionaire because they want to spend $1 million, but that's not how you become a millionaire. If you're going to spend all of that money, right? To this, there is a nice quote by Mr. Bill Mann. He says, "The quickest way to feel rich is to spend the money that you do not have. But if you wanna stay rich, then you should only spend the money that you do have." But the author Morgan Housel takes it one step further, and he says that if you want to build wealth, then you should also not spend the money that you do have. So yeah, so this basically takes us to what wealth is and how do you actually build it. So the author points out that usually wealth is something that you do not see. It is in the expensive watches that you did not buy. It is in the expensive diamonds that you did not buy, and the first class upgrades that you did not take, and rather you actually saved that money so that it could be used later uh, in some other form. So there is basically the thing with being rich and being wealthy. And if you want to look at an analogy of like what's the difference between being rich and being wealthy, then we can look at the infamous combination or the infamous duo of exercise and diet. So with exercise, I mean there are a lot of people who go to the gym regularly, and they want to lose weight, and they do some really vigorous exercises. But in most of the cases, they do not actually end up losing a lot of weight because they think that they have spent so much effort and time in the gym that they don't actually have to follow too much on the diet. But that's where the difference is. So you could say like exercise is just like being rich, and the diet is how you actually become wealthy. And with the diet, of course, you're gonna actually feel the difference in your weight as well. So that is a good analogy of between uh, being rich and wealthy. And then we're gonna close off this chapter, like why it is actually so hard for people to understand this concept of being wealthy. And the problem actually lies in the nature of how wealth is made actually. Uh, so as we saw that, as the name of the chapter implies, that wealth is something that you don't see. So we humans, by nature, learn by imitation, and wealth is something that you do not see, uh, that you do not see outside. I mean, if you're going to be saving money in your bank account, then there is nothing to see. Nothing is actually telling someone else that you're wealthy. Uh, so it is because of this hidden nature of wealth that people actually fail to understand this concept. Like, how do you actually build wealth? So yeah, this was a short summary of the chapter 9. Hopefully, you learned something, and I will see you in the next one with the summary of chapter 10. Have a nice day. Bye bye.